Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again today. It is time for art. Before we begin, I just want to remind everybody to please like, subscribe, follow, share on our Facebook, our Instagram, our TikTok, and our YouTube. It is time for art subscriptions. That's where you'll find us. So please do that. Tell your friends to do it. We really appreciate your help in growing our community of artists. And it's a great way to show off the great work you're doing and whatnot. So please, please, please like, share, tweet, do whatever you need to do. But it's time for art subscriptions on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Today, it's the last day of January. We're going into February. Our February boxes are already in the mail. They're coming your way. Our first live stream for the new box will be next Monday, the 7th. Same time, same place, right here. And when you guys get your boxes in the mail, please, 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 if you have a moment, videotape yourselves unboxing it, opening it up, seeing what the new theme is for February. I know Allison and I are very excited to play with the new theme and to see what you guys come up with. And I know I'm excited to do it myself. So, a really fun unboxing video, just upload it to our Facebook, the subscriber group, which is Time for Art Subscribers. You can find that in the comments later on. I'll post that for everybody there. So without further ado, I'm Hershey Petty. I'm your host, and then we're here with Allison Crary, our resident artist. Hello, Allison.
Hi, Hershey. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you. How have you been?
Oh, we're so good. I'm excited for just a paint demo day. I think it's going to be really fun.
I am too. I started, because we talked about doing like a tutorial for shading and highlighting, and Allison's going to go in today. We're going to do a portrait of a young lady that Allison just found online, and she's going to show us how to recreate that exact portrait as if we were artists ourselves already, which we are quickly becoming. I did though, Allison. I tried today to draw some things that needed some shading, and I did a really good job. I wanted to show you some of the.
Oh, Hershey, those are beautiful.
Right. So like I could use, I love the idea of,
those are fantastic.
Look at that car right there. Look
at Woo!
So the idea of like making an entire painting or whatever with just one color is fascinating. So tell us what we're up for today.
So we're gonna do, this is typing paper or computer paper, depending on what generation you are. I'm the computer paper generation. And so we're going to, it doesn't have the tracks on the side though. It's not that kind of fantastic computer paper. And so we're gonna draw, this is a photo I found on Unsplash, and it's got really nice light and shadow, and that's why I chose it. And we're just going to use our raw umber, and we're going to paint, and it's going to be what it turns out to be. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did before this. So this is the goal. This is what we're going to get to. And we're going to hopefully get there by the end of the day. So
we got it. We got this.
We got it. This is going to be great. So I am going to get started. So everybody has the raw umber if you subscribed last month, and you don't have to use raw umber. You want to use blue. You want to use I would suggest a darker color, because that's kind of what we're doing. And we're going to paint this. We're going to paint it at probably a pace that's going to be difficult to keep up with. But This is available on Facebook. It's available on YouTube. It can be paused if you want to pause us in real time, because you're joining us right now. And our boxes, our next subscription month starts next Monday, a week from today on the 7th. And so we'll be diving into those. The theme is still kind of under wraps, so we're not going to say anything. But this is where we are with it, and we're gonna get a face by the end of this. So I'm just gonna start with how I was taught to draw a face by a portrait artist, and he is incredible. And I've done a little bit of portrait art myself. So what we're gonna look at right here first is we have a face, and a face is always shaped like an egg. And this one is tilted to the left, right? So it's not quite straight, it's going this way. So
Right.
we're gonna simply put our face, we're gonna draw an egg, and we're gonna tilt it to the left. That's simple. Then
You know what? Real quick, we can't see the lines. Yeah, you might want
I'm gonna have to draw heavier than I usually do, and I have to remember that every time.
And it might even, do you have a pen that you could use, or is it important to use pencil for this?
We're just gonna have a hard time covering up the pen because we're actually painting this, but let's see how I do with pencil. And if we have to switch it, we have to switch it. The next thing you are going to draw when you draw a face, when I draw a face, and if you have a different way of drawing a face that you prefer, do it, is this kind of axis that the whole thing hinges on.
Okay.
And all faces are different, and there's a little bit of asymmetry to everybody's face. I have not found any that are off on this axis. Okay, so this one comes a little bit, it's not quite down the middle. We see more of her nose on this side than we do on this side. So that's our axis point right there. And sometimes the face gets bigger than this, sometimes it gets smaller than this, but it's where we're starting from, right? Okay, then we are going to roughly put some cross points for where the eyes, nose, and mouth go. So the eyes are usually, again, on the egg, somewhere in the middle or upper middle part. So we're going to drop the eyes in right here. We're going to put the nose in a little bit lower. So when I put in the nose, I'm kind of referencing sort of this point right here. I'm going to kind of put the lower nostrils in too as kind of a cross point. Just from, you don't always see the lower nostrils, but because of the angle that we're at, we see them. I'm going to drop in her mouth right about here. And the bottom of the lips right here. And when I put in the eye cross mark, I'm always going from this point of the eye to this point of the eye. Can everybody see that? This point of the eye to this point of the eye.
So it's from like the corners of the eyes.
The corners of the eye. So your eye will, and the lids will fall above and below this line we're making. And we might even put in some more guidelines, but we're gonna go from there. Okay.
All right.
The first thing we're going to draw in is the nose. And the nose, contrary to popular belief, is the easiest part of the face to draw, not the hardest. And here's why. It's in the middle of the face, so you know where to put it. Okay. Everything else we measure is going to come from the nose. And there's actual bone structure in your nose, not in a whole lot else that you're going to draw. So there are some definite strong lines that we're going to take from. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to draw in, I'm going to have to start the nose right here, have it come down like this. I said this was kind of the turned up part. So we're going to kind of go this way. Come around this way. And that's the start of my nose. Easy enough, right?
Yep.
And again, I'm drawing a little bit darker than I like to because over time you will learn you don't want dark lines. You have to figure out how to cover. But that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in, didn't we learn what this was? The philtrum or the, didn't we look that up before, Hershey? What the space between the?
You know what? I'm gonna let's set that out to the comments because it was somebody I don't remember who.
Did Cheryl know? Yeah, that was really great. Okay.
What this was called.
So this is really easily defined in this instance with light and shadow. So we're gonna let that help us. So I've dropped this one in here, this one over here, come around this way, and we're gonna make a little V right at the top. We'll get into the lips later. I actually find the lips to be one of the more challenging parts of the face because they're very sort of, I don't know what's the word, organic in nature. They're not very structured in nature. So, but we'll get there. Okay, so I've got philtrum. We think I've got this part of the nose. I'm going to drop in the nostril that falls right around here. And I wanted to just mention where I got this image. It's from unsplash.com. Certainly not a sponsor. If they'd like to sponsor us, we'd really like them to. But that's just where there's free images available to artists to work from and work with.
Yeah.
And so I chose one that I thought had really exceptional light and shadow. All right. And so we don't really see the other side of the nose, but I'm going to go ahead and put in where I think it would kind of fall over here. Okay. This comes around this way.
You know, not to go back too far, but
Sure.
that line that you drew across,
Mhm.
that's going to bisect the corners of the eyes. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right.
And we're going to build, and you know what? I'm going to measure. I'm probably going to make a new one because I think it's a little high. So the
You know
reason,
what, I'm just gonna say, I think mine was a little high.
and that's part of the fun, right? So
Yeah.
the reason we start with the nose is we build everything off of the nose. So if I'm measuring from this point here to this point here, and I'm looking at that gap, I'm going to go this point here to this point here. And yeah, this is going to be part of the eye, but it's going to be more one of the probably more upper parts of the eye. And so my initial, or just based on how big I made the nose, and I can already tell I'm making this face a little smaller than the first one I did. I'm going to kind of drop this right about here. Just like that. And now we want to make sure, because the biggest mistake I see in beginning and advanced portrait drawing is that the eyes are off. They are not in line with the axis of symmetry that we've set up for ourselves. Now, it is true, mine are like this too. Some eyes open a little bit more than others. My right eye opens more than my left eye does. That does not mean my right eye sits higher or lower than my left eye. It means I have one heavier lid than the other. Right. Very different thing. If you want to include that, that's totally cool. It's not a thing in this one. But even that, your eyes are set symmetrically, even if one eye opens a little bit more than another. Okay, and so there's some really kind of interesting things that we can kind of play with here. Is that the side of this nostril, if you look, lines up almost perfectly in a line with the axis of the face, with the edge of the eye. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to let that help us figure out where to drop that next eye. This one is going to come in a little bit tighter, but probably in line with where I kind of fictitiously put where I think the other side of the nostril is. And we're going to drop that in right here. All right. And in this instance, again, the way it's shot, and it might just be the shape of her eyes, we're getting almost as much lid as we're getting open eye. Not quite, but keep that in mind when you go to paint. Yeah. That because of maybe just how open her eyes are, and then the angle or the shape of her eyes, we have almost as much lid as we have eye. So I'm going to go ahead and decide kind of where these eyes are going to end on this same axis. And I'm going to go ahead, and this initial line I put in, if you look, they're not quite in line with each other. We're going to go ahead and draw up like this, over and down like that, up like this, over and down like that. And the bottom of the eye is shaped a little bit more, it's a little bit more shallow at this angle than the top. Again, not an all the time thing. And the reason a lot of people think faces are difficult is because we look at them all the time. So we're kind of experts in what faces should look like.
That's a really good point.
And so,
and I think of all the things we draw, that's probably the thing that we want to make it look as realistic as possible.
Yeah. And so, or you want to make it look as you want to fall into the symmetry that you want it to look like. Okay, I'm going to draw in circles. And it's important you draw in circles and not just like sort of U's in between, because your iris is a circle. And as we layer the lids, we don't want like a hump. We want a circle to put them over because this sort of negative space in the interim makes your eye look like your eye. Now, a lot of people think the trick to, I'm just including a little bit more information. The trick to making something look like somebody else is in the eyes. It's all in the eyes. Yeah. Wrong again. It is actually in the bone structure. Your eyes are like marbles. It's how they sit in your bone structure that makes it look like you. Okay. So with that in mind, we want to be very careful with, say, how the eyebrows set up, how your eye is set into your face.
Okay, like your brow.
Brow bone.
Brow. Yeah.
All of that. Okay, so I'm going to put in the lid now. And I know the lid's got to be pretty big. It's going to be bigger than I want to make it because this particular lid, there's a lot more of it showing than in portraits I usually draw. So this is going to feel wrong to me, but it's right. Just like that. Up and over this way. Just like that. Okay. Looks good so far. A little bit more eye detail here. Then the important thing we want to measure from here is where to place the start of the brow. So on that same line we were working with before, if you look, the brow starts on the other side of that line. So if I do this again, my brow is going to start like over here, right?
Yes.
So give it enough room, but the brow kind of goes over here, up here, and over like that. And in this instance, we're already there. With this mark, we just want to make sure the brows line up. So up here, over here, and the shape is actually more like that.
A good girlfriend of mine told me once that telling a girl that her eyebrows look nice is one of the best compliments you can give. And you know what? I've used that, and it's true.
Well, when your eyebrows grow like weeds, like mine do, yeah. It's a really nice thing to say. I'm just gonna let you stick with that. All right, so we're gonna come around this way, like this. I'm just kind of evening out some of the strokes I've made. I'm going to put up the Unsplash link too instead of posting this photo. I made it black and white. Okay. But you can, when we post this, we'll show you where you can find the photo, and then that'll bring you to Unsplash, and you might see some things you like or want to draw from. All right, so enough with the eyes. Let's move on to the lips. And so we already kind of put in the top of the lip. The important thing with the lips is there are two of them. Do not draw them like one set of lips, draw two lips. So up and over this way.
That's good advice.
I had a hard time with lips until I embraced that. This starts kind of over here. So I'm going to finish that lip right about here. Over here like this. Put in the underneath lip. Get my first lip in. This area right here. This is like a halftone that we have right here. Halftones are between shadows and light. I'm putting that up way too high. Closer to down here. That'll work. And then I'm going to draw in the bottom lip. So this lip gets its own set of lines. It's going to come around this way, down here, this way. We have, this goes like this. And there we go. So now if you look at the bottom of our egg, our chin's way off, which is fine. This is just to get us started. So we're going to redraw all this. So we know sort of the tilt line it has to be on. So we want it to tilt, actually more like that, with our other stuff. To give this shadow, so if you move this down, the shadow's actually kind of past that by a lot. So this comes all the way over here. It kind of goes down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start back up here and kind of figure out where to put in my forehead. Now this particular picture, and I kind of chose it for this reason, doesn't have really definitive forehead background beginning and ending. And that's because for our purposes, we're just going to do some really basic light and shadow work here. Hair comes down this way. I go with that as the jawline. Check it in a minute. It's the side we can't see. But it probably goes over here. Our neck kind of comes around this way. This is all in shadow. And there's her face. Doesn't it look great?
I mean,
All right.
So that's what I got so far.
Looking fabulous. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to clean up some of my stray marks here. This is a bigger job because I'm trying to draw a little bit heavier.
Right.
So everyone can see it. Just like that. Around here. Do we have any comments going?
Yeah, I'm like, there's some of, I meant to tell you, but there are some people that are following along and you're going at lightning speed, which is good because you don't know they can watch it later, but they want to follow along. One of our artists in our community, Lori Flanagan Haig, she was saying that she likes this because she's not worried about too much about perfection in what she's doing tonight. It's all about getting it done. And then, yeah, I told her that when we start painting, it's all gonna come together.
This is, and I had a sewing instructor because I love all art and I really wanted to learn garment construction. And I can hold my own. I'm not great, but should see me with a Halloween costume. And I've made some of my clothes. I actually really like to do it. But I had a sewing instructor. She would start us out with a very specific, first was a skirt and then was this dress. And she goes, it's the Rice Krispie treat dress. It just comes together. And it did. It had all these tucks in it. And then there was the waist and it didn't have hard darts. And you were like, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to come together. And then, of course, there's Julie Crary, who's Perfect Attendance, always with us from Crown Point, Indiana. Hello, Julie. She's following along tonight. She wants to learn how to draw faces, so she wants to kind of pay attention to the techniques.
So the intention here is I'm just going to kind of take you cradle to grave sort of through the process. And we're going to do some more of these on kind of off nights like this. And then I think we'll do some sort of portrait intensives if we have some interested subscribers.
Yeah. A
But
portrait is always such a good idea, I think.
yeah. Okay, so here's this other fun trick we're gonna do. We're gonna turn these upside down.
Ooh.
And certain things all of a sudden start coming out to you that you didn't know you had wrong until just now. So I'm gonna get in this sort of shadow line that I didn't do the greatest job of before. This kind of comes around like this. Comes around this way.
This is such
I
a good
didn't
idea.
put in the ear. It's another good trick is to take your drawing and look in the mirror. I want to make sure these line up and it just all of a sudden things come out at you. This shadow comes.
I bet.
Because you're giving it a mirror image look.
I have such a desire to straighten out or to turn the painting back right side up.
So that's okay too. I am going to go ahead just because I'm kind of used to this because this is something I've done 100 times, if not more.
Yeah.
But if you just look at it and get something from it and want to flip it over, also fine. So this shadow actually starts closer to over here. All right, this looks okay. This lid's a little high. All right. Around here. And if I really wanted this to look exactly like her, I wouldn't be doing it this quickly, or I'd do some more measuring, but we're really just using this as an inspiration to just kind of talk about light.
Yeah.
So light side of the face, we have a dark side of the face. We have halftone in between. And we're gonna go ahead and start painting.
Oh, ooh, already.
Yeah, so I grabbed a raw umber that I used a lot of, so I may need to grab another one, but that's okay. We're gonna start with the one I have. Yeah, did you hear that? We're gonna.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I have more, but I might have to get up. Okay, so I just got, it's our raw umber. It's our time for our raw umber. And I've got my big brush that we provide.
Yep.
And we are gonna fill in everything that is dark. We're gonna start with our darks. And this will be the first time. And then really soon we're gonna get a modeled face. This one down here. But our darkest darks is where we're going to start. Now, there's a few ways to realistically render something. And one is the way I was taught and what I'm doing right now, which is where you start with your darkest darks and the white of the paper. And you put in your darkest darks. And the white of the paper is there. And then when you're done putting in your dark darks, the contrast of the two immediately gives you kind of a three-dimensional representation because you have dark and light.
Yes.
Another way to work, which I do more and more now, is to start kind of in the middle and work your way in both directions. And the reason,
You mean like start with not the darkest?
start with like a
start
medium tone.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of what we did with our antelope,
Yeah.
where we sort of start in the middle and we go, okay, let's go lighter, let's go darker. I
Right.
find with a face, this is without a doubt the way to go,
This is it.
because it is the symmetry that you're kind of always checking, and the contrast is really super helpful. If you're doing something that's not as high contrast and it's really subtle, which means it's harder to do, quite frankly, you might want to try the other way. But for now, we're going to go with the way I was taught. And hasn't let me down just yet. And I'm already running out of paint. So, all right. We have the outer perimeters, the outer contours, and that's an important thing. And we can even check our drawing from here. It's looking all right so far. This actually comes a little more like this and over like that. Gonna, it's more of our raw umber. I might make it. We'll see.
This is so cool.
And then I'm gonna grab our medium brush for now. We're gonna use our big brush again. But
Okay.
here's your medium brush.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna put in all the rest of the darks. And this is kind of coloring book style, right? So
Still going
eyebrow.
dark, 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 right?
yep, where you see the darkest darks.
Okay, you're just got you.
So yep, filling those in. So that's the sky. That's this eyebrow right here. That's gonna be, her eyes in this image almost look dilated because you can't really tell pupils or an iris, which is why it was a really good choice today because it's not quite as detailed.
Yeah.
This is this really dark shadow. We put him like that. Come around this way. Just like that.
Yeah.
The mouth is kind of set up like this. So something I want to talk about, like sometimes people freak out and they're like, oh my gosh, look at this painting, it looks crazy. And then they start like making adjustments. This crazy is exactly what we're going for right now. So you really can't judge a painting in progress. You want to be sort of a slave to process, right? And we right now want to get all of our darks as accurately as possible into our painting. And again, this is super casual. We're painting on typing paper, computer paper.
Yeah. This like there's no mistakes.
No mistakes. You have more of this. Your office has more of this if you want to steal it. I used to steal paper from this company I worked for, Code Red Safety. I mean, I worked there and I had a home office, so probably wasn't stealing, but I took the paper. I took reams of paper out of there.
Computer papers, like, I mean, I don't even remember the last time I had that. You know what, last time I had that is when I lived with Melissa.
Oh yeah, see?
That's Allison's sister.
Yeah. She put your boxes together.
Yeah.
She's a very good job. All right, so for example, this stroke right here is not the shape of the eye. We're gonna fix that later, so don't worry about it. But see, that's not how I want the eye to look. No problem.
Right.
We'll fix it in a minute. All right. Over here, we're gonna get these. Actually, I'm gonna switch brushes again. I want my pointy little brush. There are names to these brushes, and sometimes they have corresponding numbers. I have never learned them. But if anyone wants to look into what the names and numbers mean and all those things, I'm interested.
We have an overachieving audience too. Like our artists, they are quick with the Google.
Oh, they are so fantastic and helpful.
Yep, they are. I love painting like this with the white, with the negative space. It just.
So yeah, so we have the beginnings of a modeled face. We have a dark side. We have a light side. We have, I'm putting in some of these more detailed darks up here. Hershey suggested we just do this with our pencils today. And I said, no, I'm in a gambling mood. We're going to paint.
Yep. Yep. I'm so glad you did.
And also this works best with a painting with really strong high contrast light and shadow. And that's why we chose this.
Right.
Something I learned about eyebrows, they grow this way and then they grow this way.
What's this way and this way?
So, not that this really matters for what we're doing right now, but like this way, they start like this. Can you see that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you go like this, but then they switch and they go like that.
Okay.
All right, so there we go. We're gonna take a look. Is there anything we want to change? And I actually have this really great, I have it up on my screen, so I've got them right next to each other, and it's kind of, this area right here is the wrong shape, so I'll fix that. Do you see how this is too narrow right here, and it should be wider?
What's too narrow?
Right here, this white area between the lid and the brow.
Yeah.
That's the wrong shape. We'll fix that. And I am not putting myself down when I say this. This is the process you do when you check your shapes. You're looking for what is wrong. And in realistic portraiture, there is such a thing as right and wrong. And I say that because we're going for a certain degree of accuracy. And we're in a position where we get to change it. This kind of sets up a little bit closer over here. This area is pretty dark. We're going to go ahead and put this in as a dark. This wide line right here is probably her eyelashes, but they show up as a shape. And so where lashes can be a really tricky or last minute thing, when they show up as a shape, we're going to go ahead and put the shape in. Just like this. Around here. See, we don't want that. No big deal though. We'll fix it later. This line. It's like that.
Allison, I don't know if you knew this, but Nana has joined the artist.
Really?
Community.
That's fantastic.
Hi, Nana. Good to see you.
Nana is Nana.
Allison's grandma, if you guys don't already know that at home.
And Nana is quite the artist. Very accomplished. I have some of her pieces.
Yep.
All right. This shape goes a little bit more like this. I like having it up here. This is, I might start painting this way. This shape goes a little bit more like this, come around like this. There's kind of a hard edge right here. All right, so we're in. We're good.
All right.
Now we're going to mix up the next darkest color. So we're going to pull this out again. Our inspiration. We're going to mix up this color, our first halftone color. Okay. And it's kind of this milk chocolate kind of fudgesicle color, right? So I'm going to take a dollop of this. I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to take a drop of white, see what I get. Remember, drops, when we say them, are like the size of peas.
That's right. Frozen peas.
Frozen peas. We brought them out one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
In case anyone doesn't eat their peas, we had props.
We did.
All right. And if we need to, I happen to love peas. I have more in the freezer. I can go get some. Hershey doesn't like peas. He was more of a green bean family. We were more of
green beans.
We were more of a frozen pea family. So, you know, all right. So now we're going to paint in our halftones, and I'm going to go ahead and make this area all our halftone for now. We can add some nuance later. And this is kind of part of the Rice Krispie treat. It all comes together. We're going to put this whole area in halftone to get started. This area right here is in halftone. For here is in halftone. This area right here It's in halftone and kind of comes around this way. And if we were working really tightly, we'd be a lot more specific about what, I mean, there's variation in these halftones that I'm ignoring because we're kind of going to do this in 3 passes. So we're just interested in modeling the face in a 3-dimensional way. And we're going to do that with these kind of limited colors, limited values. So we've said it before, we're actually working in values. Now it's monochromatic. This is a color. This isn't black and white, but the value of a color, if it's its lightness and darkness. And so that's what we're working with here, which is why you could do this in blue if you wanted to. You could do it in that crimson that we gave you in this kit. That'd be really beautiful if you want to give that a try.
And did you just add some white to make that?
Nope. We're still in the same medium tone. No, this was white. This was,
Okay. Yeah.
But nope, we're still, now here's what's a little bit tricky.
Water?
Yep, I added some water. I should have said that. Yes. And I really just added some water to kind of loosen it up.
Yeah.
But that's what we're working on. We're working in kind of we're doing kind of a value study because we're working primarily with the lightness and darkness of something. And we're working with one color, which makes it monochromatic. And there's monochromatic art shows. I sometimes do sort of a cross between monochromatic where I'll sort of stick with a family and I'll do like I'll do like purple tones, but it'll be a few different purples. It'll be like an eggplant and a pinkier purple and then a blue purple. So it's not just one color back and forth, but it's
all in the same family, so it looks
all in the same family. So it's not a true monochromatic, but all right. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this again. And it's not this image. The subtlety isn't really coming through in the camera, but there's some subtlety in here, which is why we're going to provide the link for this reference. And then again, I put it in black and white.
When you said earlier you were going to fix that, how are you going to fix that? You're just going to take white and cover it up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to do our next tone. So we're not going to leave it the white of the paper. We're going to take this medium tone we came up with, drop it in here, and add some white. Here we are, substantial amount of white.
Yeah.
And this is our 3rd tone we're going to use today. White enough? I don't know. We kind of want a lot of this because and I might make it what was left of our raw umber. It's looking like I'm going to. We'll see. We'll see if I have to get up and get more. So here we go. Just like that. And we're going to pretty much fill the rest of this in with that color. And we know from, again, it's the paints we provide you, right? But our covering white is super opaque. It's really milky. It's a great sort of finishing tone to kind of clean up any of what we don't like. We're going to go right over it and it will go away. The reason I didn't use pen is because there's a lot of alcohol sometimes in ink and a lot of oil sometimes in ink. Mm-hmm. And it would keep peeking through. And I know that from like murals I've painted and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. You painted murals?
Well, yes, I have. I'm trying to think if I've ever painted one professionally. I do them for a lot of people I know and love, and
It's really great.
like say they want Pikachu on their wall. Um,
For those at home who are following along and trying to keep up with this rapid pace, how you guys doing? I'd love to hear.
and
I
even
have,
if you are keeping up, it's like you're gonna toss this because you're not like it's really good to just go through it.
yeah, true.
It's just a dry run. It's like,
That's exactly right. It's a dry run.
and this is with paint we already have that we've provided.
So I'm curious, is the because we don't have the drawing in front of us or the whatever.
Right, the reference image.
Are those
Yeah.
different tones visible on the painting you have or the picture you have in front of you?
So this is very high contrast, low contrast. More so than what you're seeing, but it's still pretty high contrast. You're getting like up in here, this looks very white. There's some in between here that maybe you can't see. And the next time we do this, I think we should probably email everybody or when we send out the reminder email,
Yeah.
we can let everybody know this is the
Yeah.
image we're going to be working from. I think that might be really helpful. I think we might do Hershey's portrait one time. That'd be fun.
Ooh.
Send a pic.
Oh, Lori
The
wrote
one
in that
with
she
Patty.
lost track of her nose.
Oh, okay. We'll just put it back. Let it dry. Put it back.
See that, Lori? Just put it back. There are no mistakes.
There are no mistakes. There's that one guy who says the happy accident thing, and he's right. But there's also, if you want to change something, go ahead and change it. Like you don't have to decide that every stroke that you do is a happy accident. It can be like, all right.
This is fun. I love the one color. I feel like I'm not wasting any paint.
Yeah. Mine's kind of looking like Penelope Cruz.
Oh, yours is looking a little bit Penelope Cruz-y.
Again, one of the most beautiful women in the world. So, and if I wanted this to look exactly like the image I started from, different story. We wouldn't be painting at this point. We'd be practicing and perfecting and measuring, and that's a great thing to do. But that's not what we're just gonna get through a face kind of loosely tonight. And I think everyone's gonna have a really good time with it.
Yeah, I'm having such a good time. I already really like. At first, I was nervous because I didn't think my drawing was very good of the face. But like you said, it's all coming together like like how you described. Yeah, very excited. Let's see. Yeah, the people are having a really good experience, like I am with adding the color to it.
Oh, good.
To make everything pop.
Excellent.
Right?
So now we've kind of, and I want to kind of fill in all my holes at this point. I don't want any of the paper showing through. And we thought about doing this on Canvas panel, but we sort of decided that felt kind of final. And we just wanted everyone to kind of feel like this was an easy exercise.
Yeah.
That we're doing today. So I'm actually going to go back in now with my darkest color, the pure raw umber, and I'm going to clean up some of my darks. So I want that to look like that. I want this around like this. Be really nice and clean. And remember, it's always easier to pull a line than to push a line.
That's right.
We say it every time because it's just that relevant.
This is so cool.
And this one.
I really can't believe that I'm doing this.
Something very satisfying about a portrait when it kind of looks at you back and you're like, yeah, I figured you out.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, there's also something kind of intimate when you are doing a portrait of someone you know and you spend some time on their face, and it's just, there's something very rewarding about sort of honoring a person with their portrait and then getting to do it. It can be very personal because your face, it's your face.
Yeah.
All right. So
And are you
I'm
covering
kind of
the whole
glare here,
right?
but I kind of just want to.
Your goal is to cover the whole page.
We want to cover the whole page. We do.
All right.
And I'm actually going to turn out my light for just a moment and see if that helps with the glare. Hershey, how's this with the glare?
Oh, there you go.
A little better?
That looks great. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to do big brush with my darks. Because your paint's always going to dry darker, but also streakier. So when it dries, you have some new, you find some new things you want to change.
Okay. And what are you doing there? You're
I'm going over some of my darks to be more consistent.
Got you. Make it all
Because when it dries, it's going to dry streakier and it's not going to be the rich, thick
and so
areas I put down. So I'm just going with another kind of coat.
Okay.
Over my darks. Just like this. Around here. Just like that. All right. I'm looking at this eye, and there's kind of some irregularity I'm going to clean up.
This is so fun, Allison.
I love portrait drawing, portrait painting.
You know, I never would have guessed that I would too, because it seems like it's so difficult. Like it's like something that maybe in 10 years after doing art that I'd be able to do. And look at me now.
It's like anything. Once you get down to it, everything's in reach if you want it to be.
The art tutorial, or sorry, the drawing tutorial that we had at the beginning was really something too. I have to say, like, it just made it all so much more edible, you know, like positioning the eyes and stuff like that. That's something that those are tricks that we'll be able to use.
Yeah. And then I'd say if there's one thing you take from this, take positioning the eyes. Because especially when I see student work and stuff like that, I'm like, gotta just spend a little bit more time to get your eyes more accurate, because it's a big.
Yeah. It makes such a difference.
It's such a difference. And it can really be the difference between a really good painting, but an inaccurate painting and a really great painting.
You know, I don't know how everyone's doing at home, but I messed up one of my eyes, and the other eye I did a great job on. I'll show you guys really quick. There you go.
Oh, that's looking great, Hershey. Here's the
I'm
thing, your
gonna-
other eye is really in shadow, and you should really kind of embrace that.
All right. Hey, thank you. The shadow part's the easy part.
Shadow part's the easy part. That's exactly right. Okay, so last but not least, we're gonna get out our white again. And we're gonna hit some highlights. So maybe 2 P's worth of white paint.
And now the highlighting, that's like you're gonna show it, you're gonna tell us where you put it, why you put, I mean, because if I know you have that reference drawing right there in front of you, but let's say you're drawing from your imagination and you want to know where do you put highlights?
Well, I would say if you are working from a reference, you always want to work from the reference, but you are looking at sort of the crescendo of the light areas. So the peaks in light. So I'm going to hit sort of the bridge of the nose.
Right.
I'm going to hit sort of the apple of the cheek. This nostril right here has some highlight. This part of the, I believe the philtrum, if I'm saying that correctly.
I think you are.
It's a hard word to remember. This part of the lips in here is catching some highlight. So this is kind of the wrinkly part of the lips right here.
Just with the
The
smallest
chin
brush
area. And again, we're doing an hour-long portrait study. Keep that in mind. You gotta love yourself today.
Right.
Painted a portrait in an hour.
I am definitely going to rewatch this video, go back and rewatch this video because, you know, if I weren't trying to keep up, you know, I think that I would have, oh my God, she's beautiful.
I'm gonna get some highlight in here.
Yep.
This kind of goes up in here. And we could kind of keep doing this all night because this is going to dry and we're going to find some even lighter areas, but we're not going to because this is our hour-long portrait study. And this way, I hit this lightest tone in her neck. I give her some. I'm gonna put the glare in her eye. So there's something about putting the glare in the eye. You always want to do it last. And I think it's because your eyes are such a different texture than the rest of your face that it just brings them alive because they look wet because your eyes are wet. So it kind of changes everything.
And does it matter? You put them just kind of off to the center?
It's I put them where they are on her, right? So this is the direction of the light. So they're glaring in this direction. They're glaring where they are. Now, sometimes it could be, you might have something bouncing around from a different light source and that kind of thing. In this case, I chose this painting because it was really directional light. Oh, I put in, on my other one, I put in some of the highlights in her hair, which is kind of fun.
Allison, it's coming together. Mine is too. I can't wait to
So,
show you.
We're getting it. This is kind of the farthest I kind of want to take this tonight.
Okay.
a little bit of
That looks great.
touching some highlight in her hair over here. And if you want to get into composition for just a touch, there's so much light here that it's kind of nice to break up, just kind of balance this out. Around this way. And I've had a lot of practice. I had two incredible art teachers in high school. I went to college for this. You can be figuring this out for the rest of your life and still learn things, still be like, oh, that's a great thing to know. I didn't know that. So keep that in mind. But
so I mean, you could keep tinkering all night. I could too.
You can keep tinkering all night. And so I think it's a good place to stop. I'm going to show you both of mine now. Okay. This is what I had going into it. This is where we are now. They're fairly similar. I took this one, the one we just did, further than I took this one.
Here we go. Yeah.
And again, this is as cheap as paper gets.
Yeah.
Oh, you do not need expensive stuff to practice and to learn. I'm gonna go ahead and sign this one. I enjoyed painting this tonight with everybody.
Yeah, I did too. This is probably one of my favorite live streams where I'm looking down at what I have and I'm like, man, I really love this.
And this just felt very zen. Felt like we were just kind of all together and kind of taking this out. Well, I had a wonderful time painting. We're gonna go live again with probably a different kind of tutorial next Wednesday.
This
Wednesday, not next Wednesday. We'll
do another tutorial so today, yeah, you guys, everybody, we did a little bit of highlighting, we did shading, we did monochromatic painting, and we also learned how to draw a face, which I think is very important for our drawing abilities. And so keep an eye out, everybody, as we say goodbye. Keep an eye out in your mailboxes for your February box. Don't forget to do your unboxing video if you can. And also, one more time, don't forget to like, share, subscribe for
join
Facebook.
Join the group. Like
right.
the page, join the group.
There we go. All right. Okay. So you'll like Time for Art subscriptions and you'll join Time for Art subscribers. The link for Time for Art subscribers is in the comments. You'll see it there. And you can find this video here on our Facebook or on our YouTube page at Time for Art subscriptions at YouTube. And
your friends, invite your friends to like, and if you think it's something they want to see and that they might like to do something like this, then they can see everything we're working on.
And 100%, you guys are going to, if you haven't been following and you're going to do this painting later, you're going to want to share this painting with your friends 100%. So don't forget to do that. And we will see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.